Right on. Let's begin. This is strong and slow flow. Hey, Michelle. You'll probably want a couple yoga blocks for this practice, just in case. And we're going to begin on the floor, please. So come on down. And for this one, we're going to start with our legs in the cobbler's pose or butterfly. Soles of the feet are meeting in the middle. And then I like to use my blocks outside of my hips so that they're not just kind of hanging out in the joints. So I have a little bit of support there on the outside. If you want to, you could drop your eyes closed. Notice how your breathing is to begin. And then I invite you to explore any shifting or changing of the breath as a way to really commit to your practice, whatever that means to you. An engagement of sorts, whether that's just a mental switch that you're making or an actual physical change in the breathing patterns. And then we'll travel our awareness through the body for a moment or two, just to notice how we're feeling in terms of our level of sensation, stiffness, resilience, and especially paying attention to any areas of you that you have been healing or some areas of you that might need your extra attention today. And we'll just make good decisions for ourselves as we move through this practice. Finding a challenge when it's called for, and then also knowing when to back off or pause. And you're going to leave your left leg the way that it is. If you're using your yoga block on your right leg, take it away and stretch your right leg out and a little bit away from your body. So kind of off to the corner of your mat, or maybe even off of your mat. And then let's just start to make some small rotations, bending your knee a little bit, turning your leg outward or inward, and then straightening your leg. So you're just kind of scrubbing your heel on the floor really lightly, trying to maintain a nice level pelvis, and just working through some subtle shifts in that right hip. And then bend that right knee even more. Set your right foot on the edge of your mat, and then let's pivot right leg inward and outward. Opening it and closing it. Internal, external rotation. Back and forth a couple more times. I'm still going to let the left leg rest, and then the right leg is going to go up over your hip. You can hold the back of your leg and circle your ankle. Rotating both ways just once or twice. And then set your right leg back to the butterfly. Use your block to support your hip if you did on the other side. And then you're going to stretch left leg away from you slightly as it goes straight. And then we'll make just those tiny little pivots. So let your leg turn outward, bend your knee and pull your heel in a little ways, and then turn your leg inward and straighten your leg. And if your mat is very sticky, this won't be quite so easy to do. I've got my heel kind of sliding around on the floor. And then let's plant our foot outside edge of the mat and let the left hip spiral inward and then outward. Just testing those end ranges. Now bring your left leg up, hold the back of your leg for support. Try to straighten your knee as much as you can and find those ankle circles. I forgot to mention that the playlist I shared with you guys was the one that I shared on Monday, and it's only 45 minutes. So if you're using that one, it's probably going to come off a little short. Just FYI. Okay, so moving on. You won't need your blocks for this one. Let's take both legs up and a little bit wider, and then spiral your legs to external rotation so your knees are going to turn out, and then try to bring the bottoms of your feet together. Reach your arms through your legs as you curl off the mat like you're doing an ab crunch, and hold the front side of your ankles, and then pull your heels in towards your body. Keep your head and shoulders up, and then think of pulling in with your arms, like you're just trying to snuggle your heels towards you. But then with your legs, let's also think about the opposite movement, as if we're trying to kick our legs away from us, but our arms are going to prevent us from doing that. Last couple breaths. Find a little bit of front core engagement to lift your shoulders a little higher. And then lay yourself back down. Pull your thighs to your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze there. Release the low back. Let's start to rock and roll. Give a little kick with the legs. Round up your back. And then we're going to find a seat with that same butterfly position. Soles of the feet are meeting in the middle. Legs are open. Hands to the front of the ankle or lower shin. And then this time we'll use the elbows just to pull the legs into what feels like a good end range. With your legs, gently press back into your arms. So you're giving yourself a little bit of engagement on those inner thighs. And then the arms are just pressing out. Doesn't have to be really firm here. It could just be a really low level isometric engagement. Let's keep the left leg where it is. Bring your right leg slightly outward away from your body and set your hands behind you. Pivot the right leg in and out. Roll to the inside edge and then pull to the outside edge of your foot. And then we'll do from the beginning again, holding the front, pressing the legs into the arms, and the arms pressing outward into the legs. Right leg's going to stay. Reach back with your arms just for a little support. Step your left foot wide and pinwheel the left leg. And then let's warm up the feet a little bit. We're going to come into all fours and work through our ankle smooshes. So left toes will step back, tucking them under. And then you're going to pivot your heel outward and flip so that you're on the top of your foot. And then roll to the inside edge and come back to that starting position. It's a full rotation around the ankle. Pressing into your palms nice and firm to support yourself in this wrist extension. Let's go the other way with the ankle smoosh. Pulling that heel inward, flip to the top, and then spiral it out. Before we do the other side, come to your forearms and let's do cat-cow on the forearms. Mobilizing the spine and articulation, slowing things down, breathing naturally. Press back up to your hands and step your right toes back. Ankle smooshes all the way around. One part of your foot's always going to be touching the mat. Reverse, go the other way. And then back to the forearms. Hip circles. Pelvis is going to stay level. Squeeze behind your left knee and reach your left leg back. Turn it outward and then tuck it into your chest and reach back again. Try to keep your knee closed and your pelvis as level as you can make it. Let's do one more in this direction. And reverse. Pull in, open, internally rotate, take it back to extension. Less movement in the lumbar spine, more movement in the hip. Or I should say more specialized movement in the hip. It might not be a bigger circle per se. And let's take it to the right side. Close your knee, heel to the tush, send your leg. It doesn't have to go any certain direction first. We're just gonna do 3 in each direction. Can you widen across your upper back a little more? Stabilize through your shoulders and shoulder blades. Couple more, finishing up. And then let's just take a little rest. Hips can reach back towards heels, arms forward or back for a child's pose. Ease down the breathing cycle, especially your exhale. Reset your hands to the ground, a little bit wider than your shoulders perhaps for your down dog. Tuck your toes. Find a nice long reach through your spine as your hips go high. Option to pedal through the ankles, bending your knees, any amount. Let's take a walk with the down dog. Walk the feet up to the hands. Widen your stride a little bit. You can hold your elbows, dangle your spine. Maybe a gentle nodding of the head, letting go of the shoulders. Just kind of let them shrug up by your ears. Reset your feet to about as wide as your hips, or however you like your feet for Tadasana, standing on 2 feet. Let's come up about halfway to that standing position. Find that level line with the horizon and allowing for your spine's natural curves. Do roll your shoulders down onto your back and then stand the rest of the way up. Find the strength of your backside. Squeeze your glutes. Take your arms overhead. Turn your palms towards each other. And then exhale, arms come wide again. We're going to tip forward to that forward bow. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold in, exhale. Reverse and stand all the way up again. Really be in your feet. Take your arms up, reach up, and then fold in. Just a half sun salutation. We'll do another one like that. Come halfway up. And then deeper fold if you want it. Reverse that swan dive. Come all the way up, reach up, tall through your sides. And then once again, we'll tip the pelvis forward and fold. Step your feet back to plank and firm up the connection to your hands. Sensing a little more pressure where the largest knuckles are at your palm. And then still keeping a little bit of fingertip engagement as well. Toes also pushing down. Find that sense of the hands and the toes trying to pull towards each other as you bend your elbows and lower your plank to the floor. Untuck your toes. High five the wall behind you as you stretch your arms nice and straight. Roll your chest up off the floor. Get your arms a little higher if you can as you tuck your chin. Bend your elbows. Plant your hands beside your chest. A little bit of help from the arms for the cobra. But keep the work on your backside as well. And then lower all the way down. Bring your left leg out to the side like a half frog pose, bending your knee to 90 degrees, knee and hip in the same line. Internally rotate your hip. You're going to pivot, so top of your thigh rotates towards the floor, and then let it lay back down. We'll just do 2 more of those. Hip internal rotation, release to neutral. Last one. And then let's do 3 on the other side. Reset to neutral. Place your hands for push-up and push the floor away. Downward facing dog. Nice tall reach. Pushing with the arms, pulling with the hips. A little traction for the spine column. Lift your heels. Take a walk or a hop forward. Halfway lift, it's the inhale. Exhale, folding. Come on up and reach. This time we're going to add some side bends. Let's pull down with the right arm like we're doing a row, and then reach the left arm up and over. Reach up with both. Pull down with the left. Reach over to the left with your right. Let's do 1 more set. Connect to the shoulder pulling while the other one reaches. Last one. Inhale, both arms high, tip pelvis forward, and fold your trunk down over your legs. Halfway lifting, find that level line, neutral spine. Deepen your fold, plant your palms, step back to a plank. 1 more time, let's pull the plank all the way to the floor. Shoulders down and back, high five the wall behind you. Lift your arms, then lift your chest. Bend your elbows, replace your hands. Find an up dog or a cobra. And then down dog. Experiencing your breath here, 360 degrees of core expansion, allowing for the back ribs to breathe a little bit, and of course the sides to breathe a little bit. Walk, step, or hop forward. Coming to our chair pose now. Consciously drawing the hips down towards the heels, and then you can bring your arms forward or upward. Lessen the weight of your toes. You don't need to lift them, but we do want to feel that foot tripod imprinting into the ground as we suction the arch upward, as if we're trying to draw our arches up to the ankles. 1 more breath, maybe a little deeper in the hips. Challenge those thighs. And forward fold. You may want your yoga block for this next bit. You're going to have it towards the left side. And then step your left foot back. Open your chest to the right. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring your right hand towards the floor, straighten your right leg, and flex your spine. A second block could be good here as well. Let's do that one a few times. Inhale, chest open, rebending your front knee. Exhale, working towards a straighter leg, and then flex your upper back. You can even tuck your chin. 1 more time. Open up. And then flex and straighten. Rebend your front leg and step forward. Fierce pose. Find that little squat. Reach long through the outer border of your shoulders and your armpits. Trying to spiral your pinkies towards one another and relax around your neck. 1 more breath, a little lower. And then dive down, forward folding. Maybe a block underneath your right hand as you step the right foot back for that runner's twist. Turn open. And then reverse out of that and find that long stride pyramid with a little bit of a cat back. Keep flowing with your breathing. Simple, controlled, and we're paying attention. Our transition this time is going to be our vinyasa, which could be just a simple step back, maybe one push-up. Maybe you're going to pull all the way down, a cobra or an upward facing dog. Nice, Sarah. And then a downward facing dog. Step your right foot through. Bring your left knee down underneath your hip. We're going to take this half kneeling position and just energize the legs as if we were trying to wrinkle up our mat between the front heel and the back knee. Spine is pretty straight and neutral. Left hand down, left toes tuck, find that runner's twist. Now we're straightening into the front leg, all 10 fingertips to the floor. Maybe the toes pull up off the ground. Open to the left for a wide leg. Turn your left toes outward and bend into your left knee, side lunging, just for a moment. Reset, pivot back to the front, step back to plank. Pull halfway or all the way down. Cobra or upward dog. Downward face. Step your left foot through. Lower your right knee so that your thigh bone is vertical. Reach your arms nice and tall and find that isometric leg squeeze, front to back. Right hand down, tuck your back toes, twisted runners. Bring your left hand back down, work that left leg a little straighter. And then open up to the wide legs to your right now. Turn right toes out, bend the right knee, find a side lunge. Conservative is fine. Reverse out of that and you're coming back to runners, left leg, optional vinyasa flow. Let's do that one more time. We'll add in just one or two little tweaks to it. Right leg will step through, left knee down under the hip. Both arms are going to reach to start. And actually, let's find that leg scissors again, like you're trying to draw your front and back leg towards each other. Keep your arms overhead like you're holding a big ball so they can be pretty wide, and then side bend to your right side. Now flex your spine forward like you're coiling your spine over that ball. Neutralize, left hand down, left toes tuck, lift your back knee. Twist open. Long pyramid. Hands to the floor, right leg straightens. Open to the left, side lunge left. Push the floor away, pivot back to your runners. Back knee down this time. Open your chest to the right. And without holding your foot, just try to kick your heel closer to your right hand. Now you can have that vinyasa if you want it, resetting a plank halfway or all the way down. A back bend to strengthen. And then down dog. Step left foot up. Set that half kneeling, stabilizing the legs around the pelvis. Arms reach wide overhead. Keep that length and take a side bend to your left. Tall through the center. Forward flexion of the upper back. Tuck and round. Right hand down. Tuck your right toes and raise your right knee as you twist chest to the left. Long pyramid stride. Open pivot to the right, wide legs to a side lunge right. Okay, let's take it back to the front. And option to move through that vinyasa. Fluid and controlled, full cycles of breath. Walk your feet forward. Come to the top of your mat for mountain pose. Rise up either through the hinge or you can roll up in articulation if you like that. We're going to start by standing on our right leg. Your arms can reach forward, upward, or outward. And then we're going to work on our hip rotation of this floating leg. So thinking of kicking a hacky sack, you'll pivot your thigh bone inward, your heel's going to spin outward. Yeah, and then as if you were kicking from the inner heel, you'll externally rotate. Start to tip your body forward as you reach your left toes back, and then open up, step back, warrior two. Nice. Reset your stride so it's just right for you. Shift your rib cage slightly forward, as if you're reaching for something over your right toes, and then find your side angle. Left arm can reach up or over. Or you could even take that arm behind your back. As you open to the left side of your mat, you're going to set up for a wide leg fold, but you're only going to come halfway down. And then find your strength on your backside and stand all the way up to a goddess. Toes out, heels in. Reset warrior two to the front, right leg. Reverse the warrior two, and then maybe you want to straighten that right leg as well for reverse triangle. Runner's twist, left hand down. All 10 fingers to the ground, straighten out your right leg. I just remembered something I forgot on the second side. I will get it next time. Okay, we're going flow or a down dog, your choice. Spending just a little bit of time assessing how things are now after building a little heat. Walk or hop your feet forward. And then stand up through the rolling or the hinging. Either way, lots of power on the backside. Choose a position for your arms that makes sense. Stand only on your left leg. Hip rotation, right leg. See if you can look down at that knee and keep it directly ahead of the hip. So there's a tendency to pull the leg across or outward, and that's just a different movement. We're just looking for the pure rotation here. Step back with your right leg, like you're gonna go to warrior three, but then you open and find that long open hip stride, warrior two. Really good. Shift your ribs slightly forward and then move your arms into that side angle pose. Finding side core. And here maybe we can connect to the tailbone, sort of reaching down and back towards the right leg heel so we don't get overextended into our low back in this pose. That can easily happen. Power up through your feet. Come up and open to a wide leg. Arms can stay out to a T. Tip forward just to that halfway position. No lower than the hips. Push the floor away, stand up, find that plie squat. Connecting to the power of the outer hip here to turn the legs out and pull them away from your midline. Warrior two, left leg. Reverse warrior, maybe a reverse triangle. Twisting runner's lunge. Nice smooth movement. Place the right hand down, power up the legs. Now let's add in that little twisted lizard that we forgot about on the first round. Before this, bend your right knee, lower it all the way down. And then without holding the foot, just see if you can bring your heel in a little closer near the fingertips. Reset your hands for your vinyasa. And then we'll meet back in down dog. We're going to make small changes to that just to add in a few more activations and experiences for our hips. Step your right foot through. And we're going to start in a low runner's lunge. Lift up so that your fingertips come off the floor and your spine is more on a diagonal line to the floor. Now from here, you're going to stand on your right leg. Arms can do whatever. We're rotating the left hip. Hacky sack kicks. Start to tease a warrior 3. Open up on the right hip. Step back to a warrior 2. Side angle pose. Rise and pivot open to wide legs, just halfway down. With control. Posterior chain acting like the brakes. Pull back up to standing, find the goddess. Thighs wide, hips powerful. Warrior 2 to the front. Now shorten your stride by about half. Heel toe your left foot closer to your right heel. Keep your arms open wide to a T. And then teeter into a half moon-like shape without going all the way in. So just try to find a diagonal line. Bend your right knee a little bit. And then straighten your right knee a little bit. Let's do a few more of those. Just like a tiny squat. Doesn't have to be huge. Might just be a few degrees of bend in the knee. Keep energizing the left leg like you're trying to shut a door with that left heel by really kicking back. Now step back. Reverse warrior. Reverse triangle. Pivot your hands to the floor. Runner's twist. Straighten up your leg. Unrotate. Long pyramid. And then we're going to revisit that twisted lizard. Left knee down. Turning the spine. Connecting without holding. So maybe your heel touches the fingers, maybe it doesn't. But even if you could hold your foot, you're going to ask your hamstrings to do the work instead. Both to extend your left hip and to flex your left knee. That might induce a cramp. Reset your hands. Tuck your back toes. Let's reach the right leg upward and backward for a downward dog splits. You might just like this all by itself. But if you want to, you can turn your hips open and reach the right toes behind you. That could lead you to a flip dog. Or just a single arm reversed tabletop or crab pose. That might feel more stable. And then transition your way back to the plank. Optional vinyasa flow. Press pause, notice breathing. Okay, let's take a stab at this left side. Left foot through, just find a high lunge for now. Oh, actually, we only went halfway up. So kind of like the flying lunge. You can still feel that energetic opposition with the legs, as if you're trying to find that wrinkled up mat. Now we can stand up, right leg comes out front. Find your balance, and then you're going to find that rotation of the right hip, inward and outward. Try not to let the knee waver. The knee stays just ahead of the hip. Now hinting to a warrior three as you hinge through the left hip. Now open around your left hip. Step back, warrior two. Find the right footing for your hips. Shift forward, find that side angle, tipping. Arms can reach, polarizing away from each other. Left shoulder tucking down and back. Open up to the wide leg. Hinge only halfway down. Find your natural back curves. A little more weight through the ball of your foot. Find your goddess as you unhinge. Find your depth. Left side, warrior two. And then you're shortening your stance by at least half. Keep your arms to a T. We're not after the full half moon here, just a balancing point. Once you find it, keep kicking from the right hip. As you drill down into your left foot tripod, find a little bend and straighten practice. Feel that side core naturally responding to this new task. Step back, warrior two. And we have another reverse. You can choose whether you want a bent leg or a straight leg in front. Low runner's twist. Lower your back knee. Right heel floats, trying to get it really close to the bum. And then maybe there's a connection there. Maybe not. And then let's hit that long stride pyramid last before we flow. Pull the left toes up, work that left knee open till it stops. Find your plank arms, left leg up and back, downward dog splits. Maybe you pivot around and find some sort of a flip. Your choice of flow. And then let's just pause. Okay, I'm gonna get a sip of water, if I can find my water. It's warming up. I'm warming up. Okay. Let's add on to that standing sequence one more time, and then we'll do some floor work. Start in your down dog. Step your right foot through. Lift up just enough that you have that diagonal line. Stand up on your right leg, back to the hip rotations. And now we're going to find a figure four squat. So as you bend your right knee, cross your left shin or ankle over that right leg and sit your tush down and back to a depth that is sustainable to you. For a moment, press the top leg firmly onto the bottom leg. And then do just the opposite. Imagine you could lift this left leg up to your chest. It's not actually going to happen, but you're going to think of the opposite motion. Now unwind that left leg, kick back, warrior three. Now we are going to balance on the right leg, finding level lines in the spine. Find your left glutes and try to kick that left leg up without opening your pelvis to the left. Step back, warrior two. Hips open to the long side now. Side angle. Open up to wide legs. We're going to skip the half hinge and we're taking it instead to a left side lunge. Left side lunge, if you had a yoga block and you wanted to actually sit down on that in this side lunge, you could. Otherwise, you can just use the strength of your hip to find your depth and breathe. push the floor away. Come back up to that wide leg stride, and then reset your warrior two. Reverse triangle. Triangle pose. Your pelvis is going to tip you first. Then you're trying to find some length along your trunk before you move your arms. Feel the strength of your left hip helping to control your trunk against gravity. Rebend your right leg. Half moon any way that you like it. So if you have those yoga blocks and you wanted to use one to push against underneath your right hand, that could be cool. Otherwise, you can hover and just have one point of contact. Take up a lot of space here. Kick that left leg strong. Pivot around your right hip. Your hands are going to either come down to the ground for standing splits, or you're going to try to balance your way into a forward standing splits. Left leg up, right foot strong. I'm a little wobbly. Long step back with the left foot, and then move this right foot out to the side a little bit so you have a little more space to put your hands inside your foot. Back knee down. Swim your right arm back. Now on this round, if you feel like your heel is close enough that you could easily hold your foot, that's great. But what we're trying to avoid is this sort of thing, like a flinging, where we have to rely on momentum. A little more control. And then you could either pull your heel in closer to you, or you could kick against your hand. They're both good. Unravel the twist. And then you're going to move this left leg towards your left, what is this called? Wrist. So you want your hands towards the front of your mat. Right now your right leg is just in kind of a squatting stance. Left knee towards the left wrist, and then step your right foot straight out to the side like a straddle, and sit your hips back on your heels. So it's like half child's pose, half straddle with this right leg. And maybe that right heel's in line with the hip. It could be a little bit in front of the hip if that feels okay. Okay, for the transition, I'm going to turn so you guys can see this right leg of mine, because this is a new one for everybody, I think. You're going to try to keep this left hip really low. Bend your elbows like you're coming into chaturanga. And you're going to use your arms to push against to create some stability, and see if you can lift that right leg up, reach it back, set it down for pigeon. Yes, good. That was crazy, right? Pigeon could be done with a back bend, or you could just chill it. If pigeon bothers this left knee, what I found to be helpful is to take a rolled up washcloth or a towel, kind of the long ways, and squeeze it behind the crease of the left knee. That seems to decompress the front of the knee capsule quite a bit. Let's take 2 to 3 more cycles. And as you wrap up your pigeon, you might want to re-extend your left leg now. So a downward dog splits could be good with the left leg kicking or spiraling around. There's that flip dog there if you really wanted it. And then you can choose whether you just want to stabilize through a downward dog or find that vinyasa and make it more fluid. All right. We're going to head into the final round of this standing sequence. Left leg will pull through and step. And then lift the trunk off that front leg and find that diagonal line. Now we're going to stand on the left leg. Right leg is getting rotations, axial rotations inward and outward. Kick your right leg behind you, really slow motion. Start to tip your body forward over your left leg, warrior 3. Trying to create an L with the legs and a balanced tabletop-like position of your upper body and trunk. Bend your left knee just a little bit more and then step back to your warrior 2. Really good, Sarah. Really smooth and strong transition. Reach forward first, find that side angle pose, tipping your body on that diagonal. Expansive through the collarbones, but a little bit of containment in that front core. Rise up and turn open to wide legs, and then any amount of flexion in this right knee and hip for your side lunge. Drive down to rise up. Warrior 2, left leg. Left leg will straighten now. We're reversing the triangle first and then heading into the lateral tipping to find triangle pose. Slight tucking, just a slight tucking of the tailbone towards the right heel if you have a tendency to get very dippy in the low back. So that's a cue that works for me just because of the way my pelvis is, but that might be different for you. So you'll have to kind of play around with those activations. Now rebend your left knee. Come up a little bit out of your depth. Let's find our half moon. Using the yoga blocks or not, keep your eyes in one spot. Be big in this pose, powerful. Kick with that back leg. Polarize your arms, reach. As you start to pivot around your left hip here, we're gonna find that neutral pelvis. Hands can come down at any time, or you're gonna find a conscious folding, slow. Right leg higher, trying to fold the chest towards your left thigh bone. And then your hands can come down when you're ready. Long step back with the right leg. Move your left foot out to the edge of your mat. You have more space there. Let your right knee come down. Spiral the left arm to reach back. Maybe you've got your foot real close by. You can make that connection. Otherwise, just enjoy the twist. Okay, so be sure when you unwind that your hands are closer to the front edge of your mat, just so you have plenty of room behind you. Bring your right knee forward towards your wrist, and you're gonna let that shin turn in slightly, and then bring your left leg out to the side for that straddle sit. This way again. Now we're going to bend into the elbows and tip our body forward enough that we can lift the left leg, reach it back, and then slide it down and back for your pigeon. And maybe that front leg needs to wiggle into that perfect spot for you. Keep a little bit of energetic front to back squeezing of the legs to support the steps. Your pigeon. Your transition from here could be right leg down dog splits, or just reaching of the right leg, or one more wild thing, or flip dog. Once you've completed that, let's go from down dog to a walk up. Walk your feet up. Feet could stay together, or you could butterfly the legs as you start to drop your hips down. So you're going to try to snuggle your chest in between your legs if you're taking that butterfly-like shape, and then your arms can just rest out in front of you. Notice how the ankles are feeling with this. No need to overdo it. And then your transition will just be to get onto your seat. It may not be super elegant. There might be a little plop. Good. Let's come on down to our back. We're headed right to bridge pose from there. Finding a little bit of that rocking under to decompress and offload the low back and put the work in the glutes and the legs. Travel the spine up slow, like a strand of pearls. Front ribs are soft, still integrated as part of that front container. And finding ease around the neck and the shoulders. Lower your spine segmentally. And stretch your left leg to the ground. And then with your right leg, you're either going to hold the back of your thigh, bent or straight, or the peace fingers are going to gather up the big toe. And we're just going to hold our leg and try to find that end range, the position where you can still maintain your back curves is neutral. The pelvis isn't lifting up off the ground in any way, and you're still able to ground with your left leg and hip. Your next step would either be to take the right leg into a passive tree pose, or you're going to keep a hold of your big toe if you have it and move your leg out to the side until it stops. Maintaining a balanced state on both sides of the pelvis and ribs. So if the left ribs start to sneak up off the floor, back out a little bit. Return your right leg up to vertical. Left leg can come up, right leg lands down nice and slow, holding your leg bent or straight, or finding big toe hold. Left leg bends to tree, or left leg opens like a gate. Return back to that neutral position. Let's take both legs up just for a moment or two. Don't worry about any certain alignment here. Just let them land where they land. And try to connect to the back side of your spine, keeping those points of contact and just letting the legs be suspended in space. And then you can choose your final position to be really anything of comfort. That reclining cobbler's pose could be one idea. You could take constructive rest with the feet on the mat and the knees together. Or maybe traditional Shavasana is calling your name today. Get settled. Seated meditation's good too. Either set your gaze on a specific spot or drop your eyes closed. Find equal expansion all across and around your core cylinder. Decide if you want to continue to kind of control the breath and really make it specific to a certain length, or if you just want to let it go and not have to think too much about anything for a few moments. Take rest. If you're still on your back, just notice those points of contact between you and the floor. Allow yourself to succumb even more to that effortless state. And if you're in your seat with an upright spine, maybe you can think of grounding even more through the base of your pelvis and your spine, whatever's connected to the earth underneath you. And then sense a rebounding wave traveling back up through the column of your spine so that maybe you can find a little more vertical space to extend all the way through your neck and beyond the crown of your head. Then breathe in a way that makes sense for you as you transition to some awakening movements, eventually to arrive in some sort of a meditation seat or kneeling pose. And there's no rush. We're all on our own time here. Feel free to explore some wipers or rolling on the spine, some twists. Once you find your seat, let's explore just a little bit of spaciousness in the spine. Take your arms out to a T. Rotate your spine each direction, trying to focus the effort in the core rather than the shoulders. And then you'll take your side bends each direction, allowing the spine to move first, and then maybe the arms find a few more degrees. I'd like to thank you for showing up for yourself today, for moving and breathing with me. It's been my honor to guide you. Namaste.